I think it's just so important to know yourself and be really open to all the possibilities, because what you could do later in your career might not even be in existence right now.
All right, welcome back to the Spero Means Hope podcast, where we take storytelling to a whole new level by sharing amazing patient stories, interview experts in a community, and share resources for clinicians and students. So tonight we have with us Erin Gallardo. How you doing, Erin?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for being a part of the podcast. And so, Erin, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself? So, where are you from? What do you do for fun? And then, what do you do for a living?
Sure. I am a physical therapist. I am board certified in neurologic physical therapy. I grew up in Ohio and went to school there at Ohio University. And when I graduated in 2007, I moved to Southern California, and that's where I live now in Hermosa Beach. And I live with my husband, Oscar, who's also a neuro PT, and our dog, Chicle. And I have a big love for trail running. I'm a huge runner. I've always been a big runner. So I do love trail running. I love running with my dog. And I live at the beach. So I love being out at the beach and in nature. We love camping. I love traveling and just being around people, dancing, anything like that.
I love that. And you say your dog's name is Chicle?
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name?
Chicle means bubblegum in Spanish, technically, but it can also be the name or like something that you give to someone who's kind of always stuck by your side, like your little shadow, your little buddy. So Chicle, she's a rescue. She's like a Chihuahua Whippet mix little rescue pup, and so she's like my shadow. So she's my little Chicle.
I love that. That's like pretty unique name, and I really like it.
Thanks. She's a cutie.
Oh, Erin, can you start by telling us a little bit about like your professional journey? So, where you first got out of PT school, what was your first profession or your first
Yeah.
position?
Yeah. So I graduated from Ohio University in 2007, and my plan was to move to California and become a neuro resident at Rancho Los Amigos in USC, because they had a residency program there. They still have the residency program. It was one of the few ones that they had in the country. And I wanted to get better. I wanted to learn as much as possible so that I could be ready to help people immediately and not feel like, there was all this trial and error and I was kind of still experimenting and trying to be new. So that was my plan, move out here and become a neuro resident, but I did not get accepted into the neuro residency. So that was a big bummer and like kind of a turning point. Like, well, now what do I do? So luckily, when I had interviewed at Rancho Los Amigos, they said, okay, well, you know what, we didn't select you for the position of resident. However, we would like to interview you for a job instead. Would you like to do that? And I'm like, yes, I definitely would. So I was pretty fortunate to get to work there because I wasn't a student there. And so that was my first job out of PT school. I felt way in over my head. Rancho Los Amigos is pretty well known in the neuro world, and it's a world-renowned rehab hospital for people with neurologic conditions. The clinicians there are so excellent and amazing and intimidating if you're brand new there. So I wasn't quite sure what I was in for, but luckily there's a lot of mentorship there. So when I felt like I was sort of flailing and didn't know what I was doing and didn't know if I would make it, I had a lot of support with the mentors there and friends and staff and things, that people that I met there, which that's also where I met my husband. He still works there as well. So yeah, so that was the start of my career, and it was just an excellent place to work and really helped set me up to learn so many great things and meet so many amazing people and connections, being sort of a transplant from the Midwest out to California, and just get involved in the profession and in education and conferences and in as many things as I could. So it was definitely a good start to my career.
I love that. And I also love that you met your husband there. I think that's pretty neat. How many years were you there?
I was there for 5 years, and then I worked in inpatient rehab mostly. That was my favorite. I loved working in inpatient rehab so much. And then I also worked in the seating center where we did wheelchair seating evaluations. And then I moved to outpatient for a year after I had been 4 years in inpatient. And after a little bit, I started to feel a little restless, like, what else is out there? What else can I do for myself? I didn't really see myself becoming a hospital administrator. I loved doing patient care, and I just sometimes you wonder early in your career, like, where do you go from here? Like, what positions are available? What do you do if you don't want to be sitting in a desk somewhere someday doing administrative work? Like, it was a little bit of a question mark for me, so I had to kind of figure out, like, what would my next steps be if it wasn't going to be staying at Rancho. And working in big facilities has so many great benefits, and there's also just things that are different about it that you have to get used to, like your time commitment or working Saturdays or not being able to get vacation days off that you think you might like to have off. It's just a bigger system that you have to navigate, and it works really well for some people. It works really well for a certain amount of time, and then for others, it maybe isn't what you want forever. And I was just one of those people that maybe didn't want that forever, as grateful as I was to having that as the starting point of my career.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like that you bring the points about like, the benefits of working for a big system, but then also the other consideration when taking a career in healthcare in a hospital system too. So, what was your next step from that point on?
Yeah, so after that, I was thinking, I really want to do something where I can kind of like start something and make changes immediately, and implement new ideas, and not necessarily have delays or roadblocks if I wanted to get something going. So I was just like asking people, what are the options? Are there other clinics that I could work at? Are there other things I could do? And seeing who I could meet up with, and get some ideas for what my next step could be. And so I met with a colleague who had just started seeing patients privately, and she said, "Hey, I'm getting busier. Maybe let's talk. Let's see what it would be like. Maybe we could work together." So I met up with her for happy hour, and she was just getting started with some private clients, and we thought, hey, it could be pretty cool to work together. So I, shadowed her a little bit, to see the kind of patients that she was working with. She worked with a lot of people with Parkinson's, which wasn't a population I had been seeing very much of. And so I signed up for the Power course, Parkinson Wellness Recovery, which is a really great certification course, and just taught me everything I needed to know for working with people with Parkinson's. And I'd already had just a ton of great experience from being at Rancho with all different neurodiagnoses and inpatient, outpatient, AFOs, seating, all of the stuff. So I felt like I could help her out a lot, and she was working very part-time because she had two young children. So I would be able to really help serve people in a way that she wasn't able to do on her own. And so we built reactive physical therapy and wellness together in Los Angeles, and just had a great time kind of putting new ideas into practice, and got my feet wet into what is it like to be in business, and how do you reach new people, and what's it like to run a clinic and to market it, and the schedules, and all the things like that. So it was a really awesome learning experience, and she was a great mentor to work with.
Wow. So, what was that transition from? I guess it was still clinical practice, but like now, like going more into the business side of it. Did you ever feel like, oh my goodness, like what am I doing, or was it pretty like seamless transition?
I definitely felt like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But I also, but I was interested. I was very intrigued by it. I am a creative person, and I like to learn. I love learning, and I love to try new things, and variety. And so I loved the idea of doing some of the patient care stuff while also trying to figure out new things, and creating community classes and group classes, as
Yes.
well as like all the business stuff. And it was very helpful to have someone else doing that too, because I definitely didn't know what I was doing, and I was not confident in myself as a business owner or someone who could understand the numbers or the legal stuff or the accounting stuff or any of that. So it was kind of scary, but it was also fun, and just it was a new thing, just learning marketing and everything. So I, started to take courses and join programs and read, oh my gosh, audiobooks galore.
Wow, all the learning. It's really quite impressive that like you like sought out this experience and then also that you like almost like self-taught yourself even though you had like that strong mentor to you. That's quite impressive. And so how many years were you with Reactive and then where did you pivot from there?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was a lot to learn, but it was fun. There's a lot of resources out there, so that is helpful. And even like APTA has the private practice section, so there's lots of resources there, and going to their conference is really helpful too. So meeting other people doing things like that is helpful. And in neuro, it's very different than having an ortho clinic too. So that was something we really realized, and so this kind of transitions to where I went from there, like in building this, helping build this neuro practice, and then starting to talk to other neuro professionals who wanted to create clinics too and have that versus an ortho clinic or general population type of clinic. It's a different model. We're not looking to shove as many people into a time slot as possible. We need to take our time with people. We need to be able to give them the dedication and even after outside of session time that they need to have their needs met. And it's a totally different approach. So we started to create a little bit of a network in Southern California of other people who were creating neuro practices too. And I don't know if I don't remember if we had a name for it, but we basically would meet with people or talk with other PTs who had neuro practices, and it was like, man, this is really fun. I really like learning with these other clinicians, and we brainstorm together. How are you dealing with this thing with Medicare? Or how are you dealing with this issue with your scheduling or with your platform or with your EMR or whatever? So we had several meetings with different people, and I always knew how much I liked meeting with people, having conferences, learning, collaborating, just seeing what we can learn from each other. And so there was the opportunity that one of these neuro practice owners said, hey, we should start a group of people, where we help coach them, where we help give them, like we worked with them on building their business or building their practice or building their classes or help them in their career or something like that. We should kind of create something like that. So I thought that sounds really fun. That sounds like right up my alley. um so it was around 2016 so I guess I started in Reactive at 2012, and around 2016 we started saying, hey, let's do this thing. So it was four of us who wanted to create something that we called Neuro Collaborative, like basically right from the beginning. But it was four people who wanted to do it together, and Sarah King was one of them who had the
Yes.
yeah.
Love Sarah.
Love Sarah. So I kind of feel like it was her idea maybe to start this. And she was doing her own thing, and she's just amazing and influential and helpful to learn from and to collaborate with. So it was her and Claire McLean, who's my current business partner in Neuro Collaborative, and Julie Hirschberg, she was my partner at Reactive. So we're like, yeah, let's create this fun thing and help other people who want to have neuro businesses. And so we just unofficially started a mailing list and a newsletter and having a couple little gatherings and stuff. And then over the next couple years, we didn't do a ton with it, but just getting things started, I was like, I really want to pursue this. This really is interesting to me. It really meets like the things that I enjoy and I like to do and what I want for myself. And I was finding less and less of a desire to be in a brick and mortar and to running a clinic. Those roles just did not meet my strengths, as I'm not someone who loves to crunch the numbers and to, I don't know, doing like the detailed day-to-day stuff that it takes to like actually run a clinic and be in the operations. It just wasn't really for me. Um, so yeah, around 2018, we had a talk like, hey, I'm like, I want to turn this into something. I want to pursue, growing a community and having like something official with Neuro Collaborative. So we all talked and it was decided. Claire McLean and I said, yes, we're going to go forward with this and incorporate and create a business and create programs for people. And Sarah and Julie said, you know what, we have too much on our plate with the other business. We have to step away. And so Claire and I established Neuro Collaborative at the end of 2018 and launched our first online membership for people who wanted to create a neuro business or grow in their career in neuro. So open to kind of PTs, OTs, fitness professionals, anyone who had a neuro desire, and launched our first membership at the end of 2018. And then I kind of started slowly winding down clinic hours and left Reactive at the end of 2019 completely. And then just started doing some part-time registry work until it was time for me to be able to go full-time into Neuro Collaborative.
Wow, I really like how, like, in saying like how this was born. Something that you said like really like marked me is when you expressed that like you liked the business aspect, but the operation of the day to day, like it wasn't really feeling what you're looking for. And so I love that you stepped into something that you're able to mold to that creative side and that community building side, and how everything kind of like seems like it's revolving around community. It is like taking an online community, taking outside of brick and mortar. And so I like that journey. It's so interesting to me. So
Oh, thanks.
interesting.
It was really hard, honestly. I cried a lot, like in that transition of trying to just figure out, because I wanted to want that role as a clinic director. I wanted to be better at those things. I wanted to like them more, and I just didn't. So it was kind of a hard, like soul searching thing of just feeling like I just don't know if this is what I want. Even though I loved it at the start, it just, things evolve and you get to know yourself better. And it was also one of those things you kind of try and you see and then figure out maybe there's something else. And I was really craving more freedom from clinic life and not needing to be in person in a job all the time every week, and managing certain aspects that there's so many decisions. Oh my God, there's so many decisions you make as a business owner that there were a lot of decisions I didn't really like making, and just felt kind of like, I don't want to think about this anymore.
What would you say are some of the biggest like obstacles you like faced in that transition?
Honestly, it really was like learning a whole new profession. I knew the language and the life of neuroclinicians from being that my whole career, but I was learning an entire new line of work by going into online business. And I learned a lot about running a business from the clinic work. And I also learned about what things I would want to do differently, because I'm going to be running this mainly by myself. Like Claire is, honestly, she's such a great partner in a lot of ways. And one thing that really works for us is the fact that she owns her own business outside of Neuro Collaborative. She runs a Parkinson's wellness gym called Rogue, and that is her full-time work and her dedication and love. And so, sometimes when you have partnerships, you need to be diverse enough people and bring different skill sets to the game, and also have, like, I don't know, just like you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. So I found that we worked really well together because she's very supportive and helpful, and she's very good at making decisions too, and has great ideas and very forward thinking and innovative. And I really like to verbally process things and talk through things, and understand as much as I can about like best decisions. And so since she's working so much in Rogue, then I get to really work in Neuro Collaborative and build and grow that. And so we can work collaboratively and also have me kind of be the primary decision maker. So it wasn't always like, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And like, oh no,
Yeah.
I'm doing this role. No, I'm doing this role. And so that was kind of nice. So just like working with her has been great. That wasn't an obstacle, but just to explain our situation.
I get you.
But I had to learn marketing and email and website building and copywriting and Facebook ads, and then also, like, when you become entrepreneurial, and especially in online world, you have to put yourself out there, and all your fears and insecurities come up, and you really have to work on yourself. It's like such a crash course in personal development. And what are you afraid of displaying and being judged about? And just like, it's you almost have to completely unlearn so much about how you were in like just real life clinic world, where you could kind of be a little smaller and be behind the scenes, and now all of a sudden you're like in front, and you have to learn a new way of being. You have to heal your things and overcome your money issues and your time issues. And so there's just a lot of new stuff. I think those have been the biggest obstacles, as well as, ongoing things that you work on continuously as an entrepreneur.
I like that. Like, I love hearing you and all the points that you're bringing in. I think you're bringing things I didn't even think about. Like when you talk about that, like, I guess like self-learning and like you being like, you know, up there with like nowhere to hide. It's something I think like you don't hear like entrepreneurs talk enough about, and it's an interesting point, definitely.
You probably experienced some of that in launching a podcast too. And just,
Yeah. Yes, like episode 1, you think you like know what you like sound like, and then episode 1 you hear like the amount of time that you say the word like, or like, I all of my coworkers always tell me I say "aw" all the time, and I was like, "Ugh." And then I launch a podcast, and every answer I'm like "aw." so, so I hear you. I hear you definitely. On the other side though, like what is your biggest milestone? What are you the most proud of?
I think I'm probably the most proud of the team that we've built and created. It's really crazy to imagine having a dreaming up of something and actually putting it into life. So our whole mission with Neuro Collaborative is to transform healthcare, and we want to do that by helping the people who are delivering it, because ultimately we want people who have neurologic conditions to be able to find access to experts and specialty care wherever they live. So not everyone has a Spero, and other companies that are around here, we want to see those in all the communities. And so, helping people to get education. We do continuing education, mentorship, business coaching, like all of our stuff has expanded from when we started. And so just like seeing that, be built brick by brick, virtual bricks really, because we're not brick and mortar, but brick by brick, building things like that are helping and impacting people. We get just so many positive stories, emails, posts, reviews, feedback from all of the courses that we do. We have a membership, NeuroSpark, that is for PTs, OTs, assistants, and fitness professionals, and they get mentorship and continuing education. And it's just, there's no other program like it. It's very unique in our model because it's ongoing access to mentors, experts, peers, new learning all the time, new growth. So I'm extremely proud of bringing that to life and having it thrive and getting the most amazing positive feedback, because anyone who has taught knows that you get reviews all the time, and it can be such a mixed bag. And you can be, some people are like, I don't even want to read the feedback because the negative stuff can be so hurtful. And we never get that. We never get the negative feedback. So it's wonderful. And definitely my team. I love working with my team so much. I have 2 people who work with me from the Philippines, and one person who is part-time, and she's also a neuro PT. She lives in Ohio, and they're just incredible to work with. I've gotten to meet Danielle from Ohio many times and hang out with her a lot, and she's absolutely a dream. And then recently, I was able to take a vacation to the Philippines and meet my two workers in the Philippines, and
That's
we hung out.
amazing.
Oh my God, it was
Ah,
so fun. They are just the best. So I love my team.
that's absolutely amazing. And I love that the first thing that you said was your team, like how you like, I don't know, giving all the shout outs to all the people. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Talking about people, oh, go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say, I used to think that being in business, my biggest desire would be the freedom, and it was amazing to be free because you're kind of your own boss and you get to set rules, which is good and bad because then you can also dilly dally and procrastinate, and no one's holding you accountable sometimes. So you can be your own worst enemy. But the freedom is amazing, and then I realized like these relationships that I'm creating with my team, but also the other instructors that we work with and the people in my membership. And I have new friends everywhere now, all over the country, even all over the world. And we hang out, we do things, we meet up at conferences. And so my network and my relationships have really expanded and deepened. And so I think that's just been one of the best gifts.
That's amazing. And even to speak on Neurospark, like as a new grad, my best friend and I, like we both did Neurospark mentorship, and it was amazing. I don't even know how you compiled like such a full library of like content in, especially when you said that like you went full time into it in 2019. I was like doing the math. I was like, oh my goodness, like you compiled so much, and it's truly so like all the instructors explain things so well. It's so full and it's so rich, and I feel like it really helps bridge the gap. Like whether you went to a really strong PT program that had a strong neuro component to it, or whether you're like transitioning like from one setting to the other, it truly like helps bridge that gap, and it's amazing.
That's so good to hear. That's definitely what we're hoping for. And, new research is coming out all the time. You cannot possibly keep up to date with it on your own. And even if you learned so much and did a residency program, you still have years ahead of you that you want to keep learning and growing. And so this is like a great way to get that research broken down, give you new ideas to try immediately, put them into practice, and talk with others and experts and have office hours. So that, that's kind of our hope, is that it bridges the gap and also helps people in any stage of their career who wants to just really keep up to date and keep that passion alive.
Yes. Where do you see where do you see that or yourself in like 5 years and then 10 years?
Oh man. I definitely see us continuing growing our programs, offering other tracks and specialty tracks. Right now we have our main track with NeuroSpark is any setting in neuro, kind of generalized information, all different diagnoses that things can apply to. So I want to keep that growing and going strong. We have Parkinson's focus track, which is like for people who specialize in working with Parkinson's, and that has a potential to keep getting bigger. We're going to be launching a vestibular mentorship group pretty
Nice.
much right now is the time of this recording. So it's kind of starting this summer. So I think
Wow.
there's going to be huge benefit to that track. And so there's a lot of potential for other niche tracks and areas where we can help people. And definitely in the business side, I want to have business retreats and conferences that we can all get together. Our
Oh,
business
I
group
love
is
that.
so fun.
I love that. It's like, sign me up, like that's I love the community that you guys are building, and like it's so great. And I also like love your online presence, because even all the people you're mentioning, it's like I feel like there's such a strong online presence on the social media side of it. So that's also amazing to see.
That's good. That's my team right there. They help out. I'm not the best at getting stuff out on social, but when you have
Yeah,
a good team, they
I
help you
love
get
it.
it done. So thank you.
I love it.
Kudos to them.
Erin, you've given out like shout outs to a few number of people, but I also want to make sure you get a time to like give more to anybody if needed. If you had a thank you list of like anybody you can think of that has been very instrumental in your journey, whose name would be on there?
Oh my goodness. I'm scared to say anything to not, I don't want to leave
Forget
anybody
someone.
out, of course. Exactly. I feel like there's people who are so instrumental, like every step of the way in your career, and like help you through these little stepping stones to get where you are. And, I've had people throughout school and in my clinicals and at Rancho Los Amigos, like they're incredible. And working with Julie at Reactive was so instrumental and helpful. Working with Claire McLean now, she's just such a great influence and partner. And my husband, Oscar, who's like such a great PT, and he thinks so differently than me. And so he's good to brainstorm with a lot. So he's extremely helpful. JJ Mauder Tinney is one of our main instructors in NeuroSpark, and she's absolutely just the best instructor. I just have learned so much from her and love collaborating with her. We have Jen Lazaro, who's also on our team, and she does office hours and teaches content. Jamie Haynes is in the Parkinson Focus track, so she's been extremely helpful. Emily Duval Ledger is our biz coach. And, I mentioned my team. So obviously a huge shout out to my teammates, Danielle, April, and Shai, who are incredible as well. Brianna Elson is our new OT instructor.
Oh,
And
yes, OT.
yes, so she's incredible. Christina Garrity is the vestibular PT that we started working with, and she's going to be leading our vestibular mentorship track. And I don't know, I think I really love just our profession is so full of people who are giving and caring and want to help others learn and succeed. And so there's just been so many people that I've learned from, and I don't mean to leave anybody out on the thank you list at all.
I I love that. Erin, if you could go back and talk to your new grad self and give yourself like one advice, what would you tell yourself?
I would say, it's really key to keep an open mind about where things can go in the career path. I mean, as a new grad, I was pretty excited to work in neuro and to work at Rancho Los Amigos and have my job. And but I think I needed to learn more about myself and what would make me happy. And I had what I'm doing now didn't exist when I was a new grad. So I think for people who are starting out in the career, I know burnout is really high. And there's even a lot of people who are early in their career who are thinking, like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And so if you're out there thinking that and listening and feeling like you don't know if you want to be in healthcare anymore and doing this career long term, or if it's not quite what you thought you signed up for, I think it's so important to keep an open mind about the opportunities that exist that you don't even know about. And having this degree and this knowledge in your brain can do so much more than you even think. And so it's part of it is like doing the work you need to do now and getting that experience and paying the bills. And then also keeping that really open mind about what you can create and what life do you want to live, what suits you the best, and feeling like just getting an understanding of that and knowing what that could look like for you, because you have no idea how to put that together and you don't need to know how. You just need to know what you want, and then opportunities will start to present. And as you start to say yes to new things, meeting new people, having your ears open and listening to what others are saying and sharing and offering, you'll eventually put together like, maybe I could do this, maybe I could create that, or maybe I could work with this person who's creating that. You don't have to be the one who starts it if that's not your type either. But I think it's just so important to know yourself and be really open to all the possibilities, because what you could do later in your career might not even be in existence right now.
It's so true. And I love how like you were such a trailblazer, like you said, in creating something that didn't exist, like when you first got out of school.
Yeah, it feels weird to think that, because I wouldn't have thought I would be someone doing something really innovative and different. But I don't know, I just decided like I just started to learn what I wanted to do and what I liked. And it was like, well, maybe we could create it. And you surround yourself with people who are helpful, who know more than you. I have teammates and people who are like, okay, you're way better at this than I am. This is what you're in charge of. So, don't try to do it all yourself. That is definitely a case for burnout.
I love that. Erin, is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to mention to the audience?
I feel like we hit on a lot of things that are part of my journey and part of kind of where I'm at now. I guess the other thing, because I know you said there's a number of people who might listen who may be thinking of doing non-clinical work, which is pretty much what I'm doing now. I only have one patient that I see anymore, and I work full time in building these programs. And I guess the thing I love about building these programs is that there are so many great clinicians out there who have tons to share, and they don't have the ability or the time or the bandwidth to create an audience and a platform and customer support and apply for CEUs and all the things that go in the background of it. So I really love supporting healthcare workers who have such great information to share, and being collaborative with them like that. And when I was looking for someone to join my team and help us to expand this, there's groups out there of clinicians who want to leave clinical work and aren't really sure what they can do or what to do. I love that there's resources and groups for them so they can get ideas. And so if that's anybody listening, it's important for you to think about your personality, your strengths, what you love to do, what you can offer someone, and how you can help them. And sometimes people are in a place where it's hard to think about that because maybe they're so tired and exhausted and burnt out that they're just like, get me out of the situation. Anything will do kind of thing. But if you're out there like wanting to pursue something and wanting to talk to businesses and employers who have opportunities, definitely look at what you can offer. What are your strengths, and how do you help? What do you have to give that the business will benefit from? And think about approaching it when these conversations and these posts that you might put out there that way, rather than what you can take and what you can get. And even if you don't think you have any strengths, like I used to think I didn't have any strengths because I'm not super numbers oriented, and I don't really like spreadsheets, and I don't love to work really, really hard. I like to work and I like to feel satisfied with my work, but I don't want to hustle and grind.
I feel you.
But having relationship, like what you're doing here, you're creating conversation, relationships, collaborating. Those are things that I love to do too, but not everybody likes that. So I think sometimes we take our strengths for granted.
That is very true.
There's other people who can do the work that we don't like, and they love it. So, maybe some of these things are strengths and you don't realize they are, and help the employers to see what you can give and how you can help, how you can grow their business, how you're willing to learn, how you're flexible, how you're adaptable, how you're excited. And rather than just focusing on like, what you might be wanting to get, like just work from home these hours and I'm done. Like that would be my advice. Focus on what you can help and give, and you will get so much back.
I think that's an amazing advice, and like it's so true. I truly like how you like put it in perspective of like thinking about what you can give and know what you can get. And I think it's a message that's really important for people to hear, because when you like look up like non-clinical PT thing, it's like everything that comes up seems to be like hospital administration or like sales thing. And so I think people need that mentorship to know like, okay, like but what defines you? Like how do you learn, or like how do you like what do you feel like you have to give? Like exactly what the way that you put it. And so that's I feel like that's a golden piece of advice, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. People maybe just don't know themselves well enough, or they don't think about just don't think about all of that. Or I know you can be so tired that you just are like, I don't have anything to give. But you do. You really do. Just take some days off and rest and get in nature, exercise. You'll come up with things that you can get really excited about.
Yes, and then everyone is so unique. Like everyone has their unique set of skills, qualities, perspective on things. Like it's kind of like a little puzzle and melting pot, and where we all kind of like enrich each other with what we bring. So I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay. Anything else you want to like? Any other last minute words or parting words?
I I'm grateful to be on here and getting to talk about this. I hope it's helpful to someone out there who needed to hear something about that and having some renewed hope in their profession and the career path that they've chosen. There's so many opportunities, and I'm open to talking about any of it and helping anyone in their decision making and their processing of that anytime.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcia.